Hello. All right. So we're doing some airplane engineering, and I think it would be helpful if we all had an idea of how to make these single layer vector graphics on Gravit. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to come into Gravit, and the first thing I always say is make sure your canvas is the right size. So I'm just going to make one. Let's say I wanted my width of my airplane body to be somewhere around 8, and then the height to be somewhere around 6, somewhere below those two numbers. And we want to make those inches. So 6 inches by 8 inches. Now, we're going to create it, and you have this area. Obviously, 6 inches by 8 inches isn't going to work because we don't have 8 inches of surface by 6 inches according to our balsa constraint. But regardless, let's say we did. So now what I want to show you is kind of how to use the pen tool. So first I make a node by clicking, and then I'm going to click again to make a line, but this time I'm holding down the trackpad so that I can actually drag the front, or drag the line out so that it becomes a Bezier curve. And now if I want to end that from happening, I'm going to click back on that second node I just made. And now I want to extend this, and I want some amount of curve down towards the back. And then we're going to stop that from happening. And I think, yeah, I want a little bit of a tail thing on the back. Now notice if I don't pull using my mouse, it just creates flat lines. Okay, so you can see there it's making kind of like a flat line. And now if I edit that, boom, and then I come over, the trick is you want to connect the ending of each of your nodes together so it makes one big object. And now to see that object, we can get our select tool, and we can see that we have this object. Okay. Now if I wanted to put a hole in here so that I could slip a wing section in, I'd probably just use the rectangle tool. But what I'm looking at here is actually 2 dimensions. I'm looking at the height dimension, so we can see what changes there. We can see the size changing on the H over to the right here. So let's say we knew that our balsa wood was, I don't know, 0.25 or 1/4 of an inch. Well, we could get it right about at 2.5. And then if we wanted our wingspan to be, I don't know, 2 or 3 inches. We got to keep going if we want 3. There's 3. Okay, 3 inches. And now we have this hole that would be created that would hold the wood in place. You can kind of tell. Now that looks a little wide, so I don't know if that's the right. I think it's probably more like 1/8. So you could play around with that to get it right. And then if you wanted to add in any other extras, you could add in something that's not going to cut, but something that's going to engrave. And how you do that is, let's say we wanted to put a window type thing in here. What we could do is, come around like this, and I'm just coming down like that, and then connecting it like that real quick. And now to make that into a window and just have it slightly engrave, we go to borders and we would change the color of it. And now it knows that it's going to be a different type of variable set. The other thing that we want to do is make sure that your fills are at 0% over here, like so, and here, like so. It's going to automatically give you 100%, but we want to get rid of that. Okay, and then if you wanted to make a wing, you would just, you could do the same thing. You could make something that's this big, but I would know the dimensions of that space, and maybe you're making 2 wings like this, or maybe you're making 1 big wing that sticks through. Okay. Make sure that everything is in the canvas. If you're making a little tail, maybe it's going to look like this, or it doesn't matter, but you'll come up with all that stuff. But this should get you to the point where you can go over here, you can click Save, you can go to, what do we call this? Airplane body, Save, and then we export down here, and we export as a scalable vector, scalable vector graphic, okay? And that's it. So export scalable vector graphic right there, okay? That is enough for you to be able to get started and then send me your files. So let's start making some airplanes that fly.